Hi everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Justin Woodbury, and I want to start this video off by thanking you again for liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing. Please continue to do so. Your feedback is very valuable. In fact, this video is based off of your feedback, so thank you. And I've gotten asked a lot of questions, but one of the most commonly asked questions I've received is, how did I find my voice? Or how did I find the courage to speak up, or how did I become brave? Just different questions like that I've received. Let me say first of all that I don't consider myself necessarily brave or courageous for speaking out at all, but I do remember a progression that led up to me starting to speak out, so I wanted to share that with you to hopefully either be a help or at the very least answer a lot of questions surrounding this that I've received. So I remember telling my wife when we first met different things that happened to me growing up and to friends and different things that I saw, and she would be shocked, and she would tell me, you know, you should really write a book because you've experienced a lot, and I think that you could really help a lot of people by sharing this kind of these kinds of stories. So I always had that in the back of my mind. And then when my son was born, our firstborn, I remember looking down in my arms, holding him for the very first time, and this overwhelming sense of responsibility came over me. And if you're a parent watching this, and particularly a father, you can probably relate to this overwhelming sense that you had to protect your child. And it was the most powerful thing I'd ever experienced, and I knew that I would do anything to protect my child. It didn't matter what it was, I would protect my child. And that responsibility is stuck with me and with my family ever since, that I wanted to protect my family. So that was another part of it. About when my son was about 2.5 years old, I was traveling a lot for my job and bringing my family with me. We would travel a lot, so we were gone for a good part of the summer when he was 2.5. But when we were home, we would go to church and we would put him in the nursery, and he would have a very hard time adjusting to the nursery because he wasn't in it consistently. And so the protective side of me wanted to keep him out of there because he was having a hard time, but the desire to not shelter him, the decision I made was to put him in the nursery, but to check on him every once in a while. And so that's what I would do. I would put him in and then stand outside the door to make sure that he was okay. And I would check on him a couple of times while we were in the services. Well, one of the times when I went to check on him, I was standing outside the door, could hear everything that was going on inside, but nobody knew I was there. And I heard the director of the nursery yell very harshly at my son, and then make the comment, "I sure am glad the Woodburys travel a lot because Jackson is a brat." And of course that was hurtful to hear as a father, but that situation led to a bigger conversation with my wife about our church and about the policies they had in place and about a couple of other things that we were concerned about. And it made me realize if I hadn't been there, I wouldn't have heard that happen to my son, that conversation happen. And we wondered what else we were missing out on because we weren't there. And so that's what led to the bigger conversation. But we went to the senior pastor, who we also considered a friend, and shared these different concerns with him. Not what happened to my son, because that was small compared to these other concerns that we had, but sharing these concerns with our pastor. The pastor said that we had a right to be concerned, that now that we brought these to his attention, that he was also concerned, and he promised that there would be change. In fact, he said, "I guarantee you that these different things will not happen again." And then a couple of months later, nothing had changed, and these particular things that we brought to his attention were still happening. And very concerned about that, went to a deacon to see what was going on. The deacon made an excuse for it, and it was at that point that my wife and I realized that at the very least, the church we were attending, their definition of protecting our children was very different from our definition of protecting our children. And so we withdrew our membership from the church. And we're so thankful for the church that we found, and the unbelievable job that they do protecting our children. But the point is, at that time when we were in the previous church, when we realized that the church had a different idea of protecting our children, we withdrew our membership and we left the church. And it was at that time that I started speaking out. I started speaking out first to different people that I knew that didn't know about my background, and then it turned into a public forum with writing the book and stuff like that. So it was a progression, but that's how I found my voice. Stay tuned for some follow-up videos about what the church's responsibility is to protect your children and how that plays into your responsibility. I believe that it's 100% the parents' responsibility primarily to protect the children, and that they shouldn't rely as much on the church or other institutions to do that as much as parents do rely. I think they rely too much. So follow-up video on that. But thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thank you.